Hey, what's up, everybody? Can you guys hear me? Is my audio coming in pretty good? Cool.
Yes, hear you.
Yeah, sorry, running a little late. There's a lot to
Yes.
cut. There's a lot to cover today, so I'm trying to make sure that everything I have is going to be working and connected today. So bear with me a couple more minutes before we get started. I'm just kind of doing some minor housekeeping here, making sure that I have all my connections in order. So just bear with me.
Make sure you have room to spin your 362, please.
There he is. What's up, Charles?
Man, I'm just chilling. Tired, chilling.
Right on. Everybody, this is Charles. If you want to introduce yourself, Charles, where I'm getting this thing active and going, definitely want to show you some love. And Tia, I'm hoping Tia's in here. She's
Yep,
always
I'm
on
here.
time. Right on. If you guys want to
She's
introduce
the one and
yourselves.
only. Go ahead, Tia.
Hi, everyone. I am Tia. I'll be handling the chat, answering your questions in the chat, and then chiming in during intermissions to give DJ some time to transition to different features. So, hey.
So don't let her be modest, y'all. She is killing it right now. She's all over social media. She is our voice. So if you guys are not part of our Facebook users group, make sure you join. Lots of good information, lots of insight, lots of other people to help you. Also, just make sure you reach out to us with any questions you have. I'm Charles. Half of you may have talked to me on the phone today, but definitely just use this as a support tool. We are here to help you, and best of luck in your endeavors. This is gonna make you a lot of money if you do it the right way. So definitely follow DJ. He's great at what he does, and you'll learn a lot. Ask all the questions you have.
Thank you, Charles the Great.
And I'm gonna plug one last thing. This is the last night for our yearly our special on our yearly subscriptions. So you're going to have $800 for a year directly from the App Store. So definitely take advantage of that tonight because it's going to be a good way to save some money on all the events you're going to be having this year.
Very dope. Thank you guys for just kind of being the support that I need, specifically when I'm trying to get everything together. There's a lot to cover today, so just kind of trying to get a good feel for everybody. I want to know where you're at as far as being a user with TouchPIX. Do you consider yourself a beginner? If you consider yourself a beginner, there's no shame in that. Everybody started somewhere. We've only been around for a couple of years. I want you to type in the number 1 in the chat room just to let me know that you're a beginner. If you think you're moderate, type in a number 2. If you think you're on the advanced level, then just type in a number 3. That gives me a good guide as far as what speed to go with as far as what I'm about to explain. And, I do definitely want to show off some of the stuff that we unleashed in Las Vegas this last week. TouchPIX is moving up from here, and just depending on the crowd, if you guys are interested, I will show you, but if you guys are not, then I can always reserve that for another day. But I think it's gonna be a valuable lesson to a lot of people in regards to having professional options. Not to say that the iPhone's not professional, not to say that the GoPro's not professional. We now introduced the ability to connect to a DSLR camera, which is huge for the photo booth industry in regards to an iPad being able to do that. We're the first app that is able to do it with both photos and videos, wireless and tethered. I'll be showing the tethered way today. What that means now is that you can control a DSLR camera if you choose from an iPad and now have flash, right? Which is something that you haven't had before with an iPad booth. So the quality photos are going to be phenomenal moving forward. And the ability that TouchPIX, you're able to price out this app like very, very low compared to what's out there in market value. So let me explain something in the value of TouchPIX, because I think a lot of people have this misconception that because it's a subscription app that people are losing money. People meaning customers, based on the fact that there's a fee attached to that, right? The fee covers numerous things. It covers support. We offer 7-day support, 7 days a week. Tia's going to put the support information in the chat box as well. We're one of the very few apps. I don't think I know of another app that does 7-day support where you can actually talk to a live person, right? You're not going to get a robo chat box. You're not going to get, a recording asking you to press 1, press 2, or press 3 to send you to different areas of the department. You'll actually talk to a live person between the hours of 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., right? We take great pride in that. We're unrolling a bilingual type of support system now for all our Latin America users as well, because that user base has also increased drastically, right? As of now, we have bilingual support with the exceptions of Wednesdays and Thursdays. However, that slot's going to, I believe it's going to get filled up fairly quick as soon as we find the right person for that. So we not only offer support 7 days a week, right? We have a call system where we know that you called in the event that we're on the other line helping another client. We're going to clear that log by the end of the day. So be assured that we do our best, and we'll definitely try our fastest to get a hold of you. But typically we give a 1 hour window. It's never a 1 hour window. It's typically within the first 20, 15 minutes is what we try to kind of make sure that we contact whoever's on the support line. We do have some trouble sometimes calling people back from international numbers, and we're hoping we can get that resolved. But other than that, you are going to talk to a live person that's going to help you out with whatever issue it is that you have. So TouchPIX is a jam-packed software that offers a lot. If you compare TouchPIX with any other iOS app, we're the cheapest priced app in regards to, if you look at other apps, they're going to start you probably at a lower price. But this, when you're scaling up your business, specifically now, springtime and summertime right around the corner, when you are going to get busy for your photo booth or 360 booth, right? Other apps charge you a per event fee, meaning that if you have 3 or 4 events that weekend, they want a piece of your pie for the second, third, and fourth event. TouchPIX doesn't work that way. TouchPIX is a one price subscription, whether you have one event or you have, if you have 100 devices, you can run them all at the same time, right? So I think it's a very affordable app, and I just wanted to throw that out there because a lot of people overlook the fact that you're able to scale up your business and run 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 photo booths at the same time, making yourself, just have a bigger return on investment. So I think that's a big key. Again, we introduced DSLR at our Expo. We're very happy about the quality. We're very happy with the functionality, and it's going to change the game as the way we see photo booths and 360 booths being handled moving forward. So it's a phenomenal thing. And I just kind of wanted to share that with you guys. I'm here to answer any questions. I would like if your questions can be started at the chat room. Tia does a phenomenal job of manning the chat room and making sure that every question is answered. But if it's something that you want to discuss live, then by all means, unmute yourself and let's go at it. My purpose here is to educate you guys and make sure that you guys feel comfortable using this software. And at the end of the day, the better you perform, the better we perform, right? Because we need you guys, we need your output, we need you guys to be successful so we can be successful. And that's kind of our motto. Today, we're going to get started on the 360 side of things. I also want to gauge how many people here are using iPhones, how many people are using GoPros, and how many people are here wanting to know more about the DSLR side. So if you're here for the iPhone, let's go with the number. Let's go with the number 1 again. If you're here for the GoPro, let's go with the number 2. And if you're here to know about the DSLR functions, let's go with the number 3. And I'll get started. Yeah, so if you joined a little bit late, we do have DSLR control with our app now. So I do see some questions in the chat room saying, hey, what's up with that DSLR function? Yeah, so it's something that we unveiled at the Photo Booth Expo in Las Vegas. If you guys haven't been there, I definitely recommend that show. It's the biggest trade show for photo booth owners in the entire nation. It's one time a year where you can get everything fairly cheap, from vendors to backdrops to props to software. And we're out there every year doing our thing, making sure that our customers are being heard and listened to, and just executing our game to the best of our ability. That way we can come back to you guys and kind of showcase some of the innovations that we've come up with, right? So Definitely. So I see there's a lot of iPhone users. I see there's a lot of people wanting to know a little bit about the DSLR, and I got to see a few people with the GoPro. Not quite sure how to start this, if I should just start with DSLR and move into the iPhone. I don't want to confuse a lot of people, so I definitely want to value your time and why you're here. So let me just start with this, okay? I'm going to start with the, let me start with the DSLR connection because I'm very happy about it. And let me get my gimbal straight. I actually have a demo station here that we use for the Expo. And I want to show you guys how awesome this thing is and how easy it is to connect, right? In my opinion, it's actually easier than the GoPro. For those GoPro users, I don't want to sway you a certain direction, especially if you just got that GoPro. I know these things aren't cheap, but the connection is far more reliable in that sense. And you know, the quality is just phenomenal. So I want to show you a couple things. I'm actually connecting my gimbal right now. Let me make sure I'm on the right Wi-Fi. Give me one sec here.
If you're sharing your screen, DJ, we can't see.
Yeah, I'm not yet. I'm getting there. I'm
Okay.
just not in the right Wi-Fi exactly yet. Okay, I'm going to start
And everybody
sharing.
keep in mind, you know, options are never a bad thing. Knowing multiple ways to do things, and the more you spend on equipment, the more you can charge a customer for what you do with the right skills.
Yeah, definitely don't want to scare people, especially the new users saying, whoa, this is a little too advanced for me. I wasn't prepared for this. This is just an option. And trust me, as you learn the software and you work your way up within the software, you're going to absolutely love this because this is kind of pro level stuff, right? Where the quality is phenomenal, where you now have a camera that can fire flash. And we're going to go from there. Let me see what I can do here to share my screen. Oh, I need to make myself co-host. Give me one quick second here. Let me know when you guys can see my screen. It's not up quite yet, but all right, here we go. Are you guys able to see that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is our booth from the Photo Booth Expo, right? I'm going to explain how the DSLR connects, and then I'm going to go over and do an event for the 360 from the iPhone from scratch. Just want to show you some new features. And mind you, for the Expo, we did a DSLR booth. You can see there's a DSLR camera there, and this is our iPad booth on the ring light. We have this booth custom made. We still have some of these available for the iPad for those that are interested in buying one. We can definitely let them go at show price. But what you're going to need is, obviously, this is an iPad in here. And within the iPad, you're going to need to purchase, depending on which iPad you have. The tetherway is either a Lightning to a USB cable adapter, right? So if you have a newer USB-C iPad, just make sure that this end instead of Lightning is USB-C to USB 3. So what I want to show you here is where the camera is. This is how the camera is mounted. This is my flash. I'm about to power it on. Right, I powered on my flash. This is my camera right here. So the USB-C that gets plugged into this dongle, or the USB cable that gets plugged into this dongle, is actually plugged into the dongle itself that's plugged into the iPad. The other end of that cable goes to your camera. This camera is what I would consider the recommended camera. It's a Canon M50 mirrorless camera. It takes phenomenal pictures, but it also takes great video slow motion. So what I'm going to do, because I have one hand, I'm just going to plug it in. I plugged it in there. I'm going to flip the camera to the on position. Make sure that the dial is set to manual, right? It is on. I want to make sure that it's plugged in correctly. Give me one sec here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go over to the iPad. This is TouchPIX. I'm running it in landscape mode, animation mode, right? So I'm going to go over to the menu. I'm going to go ahead and go over to settings. For those that have downloaded TouchPIX recently, you will see something new where it says camera, or you can go straight from camera from the menu. You're going to see a DSLR option. I'm going to toggle the DSLR option. I'm going to leave live view to the on position. And then I'm going to hit connect DSLR. So it says searching for camera and it says connecting. And it's that easy. We're good to go. So now I'm going to hit back, right? I haven't tested it. I'm going to do a quick shot. I'm going to do a test shot. Okay. Don't judge my, my messy room here, but let's see what we can produce here. I'm going to go ahead and click photo. This is the shot that I'm going to take. You guys see that flash kick on? Phenomenal. Look at that. Look at how clear that picture is, right? So now you have an option of not only printing with the DSLR. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and hit next. I'm going to connect my printer. I haven't done that yet, so I should have done that from the beginning. I'm going to go ahead and hit settings, toggle over to printer. In my case, I'm using a AirPrint device. Select AirPrint, and then I'm going to connect my, it's actually what I'm using for AirPrint is, I'm going to show you. This is the printer. It's not even connected nowhere near my booth. It's this printer here. It's a DS40. It's actually connected to an old MacBook that I have. You don't have to use the MacBook, but you can. I just happen to have that laying around. And the advantages of using it as a MacBook, connecting it to your printer, is it makes your printer like an AirPrint, right? So it doesn't need to be connected directly to your booth. So in this case, I selected AirPrint. I'm going to connect it to the printer, right? And once it's selected to the appropriate MacBook, now I can go into my gallery. Let's try it again, right? This is one bug that needs to get worked out big time, but we'll figure it out. Let's do one more shot here. I want to show you guys one more thing here. Let's see. Let me refresh the event real quick. I'm trying to get this green screen removal feature to work, and I might have done it so quick that I didn't refresh the event. So let's figure this out. Okay, let's go back. Let's take another session. You guys see the flash? It's processing. It says processing media. The reason why it's taking so long is because I have this special feature that I'm using. It's basically a background removal. See how it has me in Vegas now? I'm nowhere near Vegas, but it made a clean cutout of my entire body, my face, my hair, my headphones, and it placed me in Las Vegas. So that's super, super dope for people that you know, want to use a photo booth, because this is my real background right here, right? Let's go back and look at what the picture took, right? I'm going to blow it up. Check that out. That's freaking awesome, right? Look how clear it is. Flash, everything works accordingly. And this is just a phenomenal feature. You guys have any questions on that? What do you guys think about that? That's an awesome feature in my book, but maybe I get too excited with the tech here.
No, it's pretty nice. It's good.
Yeah, so that's what's up with TouchPIX, man. I mean, they've worked hard to get that DSLR integration. I'm super happy because now you can have a simple booth like this. This is just a ring light booth, right? The camera's just mounted in the back, and I'm using that flash. I'm using that flash. You know, it's a simple booth, small footprint, right? Doesn't really take a lot of room, but this is something that you can do with TouchPIX as well. At the show, we were able to connect this camera also with our slow motion 360. The way we did that is we powered our camera with batteries, but you don't have to necessarily power it with battery. You can always do the same thing you've done with your GoPro. For these types of cameras, they sell these, they're called these dummy batteries, right? That are plugged into the battery, and then it has a USB, so you can plug it into a power bank. So you don't see as many wires, or you could run the stock Canon batteries as well. It's whatever your preference is. I just kind of wanted to show you that feature real quick. I think it's super great. If you guys have any questions, I could answer that before I move into the 360, but you know, I think that's a phenomenal feature.
Did you, and what size of the iPod size?
The one that I'm using currently on this booth is an 11 Pro. I'm using an iPad 11 Pro.
Okay, does it have a specific size? Because I have 12.9, so can you fit inside?
Well, it really depends, right? So if you're going to be grabbing a booth that can complement this, you're going to want to see whoever that manufacturer is, or if you're like me, you might want to build it yourself, right? You want to make sure that that iPad fits inside that ring light. So you want to get the appropriate size ring light to make sure that your iPad can fit inside. So you can make sure you can cut the, iPad square and the DSLR circle. That way everything fits snug. So if you can make it fit, perfect. But I always say, double check your stuff to make sure that it is compatible and your iPad does fit inside that ring light.
Okay, but these specific photo booths, who makes this?
This one here is made by Mo Booth. He was one of our sponsors. Mo Booth. He's one of our sponsors. He's a phenomenal guy to work with. Shoot him a call, visit his website. Like I said, we have some of these, not the DSLR versions, but we have some iPad versions on sale still. If you guys are interested, we'll give you a really good deal on the iPad unit. So, let us know if that's something that you're interested. Just shoot us a DM or let Tia know in the chat box, and somebody will get a hold of you and work out the logistics.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Cool. Any other questions with the DSLR booth before I pivot over to the 360?
I got to ask you, what kind of camera you're using, and do you have a recommended camera that we should kind of start with?
Yeah, so like I indicated, the camera that I'm using here is a Canon M50. Yeah. M50. If you guys do a Google search, you guys are probably going to see it priced about $649 or $700.
Yeah, it's about $599. Yeah.
I will give you this this tip today. I don't know how long they're going to last, but I just purchased the second unit myself. They do have them on sale right now on the Canon website. I recommend they are refurbished, but I only buy refurbished stuff straight from the manufacturer. So Canon, I've had a lot of experience with Canon in the past, and their refurbished stuff comes with manufacturer's warranty because they're the manufacturer. So if you buy their refurbished, you can get it as cheap as $550 with the lens or $479 without the lens, but you're going to need a lens eventually. So I think those are phenomenal deals for these types of cameras. That not that long ago, they were in the $700 range. Plus, you can use them for your regular photo booths, and now you can use them for your 360 booth. And you see how the connection is. It's extremely fast. And yeah, I highly recommend this camera.
Sounds good. Okay, yeah. I just got my GoPro, but
no. So
the DSLR would be great because it gives you a lot of better options and better pictures. You can print better pictures from that.
And I don't want to dissuade you from the GoPro, but I think this is a game changer because the GoPro is kind of limited, right? The GoPro comes with one connection. The Wi-Fi connection sometimes is a little buggy. That's something on the GoPro side. And then you only have one option with the lens. With the DSLR, there's so many different lenses up there that you can experiment with whatever look you want. Fisheye, non-fisheye, super wide. You just have tons of options with the lenses that are available for these cameras. So you can kind of set your style, be unique, set yourself apart from the industry, right? So this is a great way to just consider this, right? This is something that just dropped. The release just hit our app store, and it's only going to get better from here.
Yeah, quick question before you leave. Does it only support only Canon cameras? Because I'm a Sony shooter, so I'm a photographer, so I'm a professional photographer.
So I don't own a lot of Sony cameras, but we are compatible with Canon, we are compatible with Nikon. I
I put the
believe,
link in the chat.
okay, there's a chat there. There's a
Okay,
link on the
gotcha.
chat room, and there's a list of compatibility of cameras that are compatible. A lot of these we haven't tried yet, okay? So bear with us as time goes on. Just keep asking away, and hopefully one of us will, one of us will definitely give it a shot.
Okay.
Okay, let me see here. I'm gonna,
Photo booth similar to like a Prism photo booth?
excuse me?
Is this photo booth similar to a Prism photo booth?
Okay, so about D500. I got D500. Okay, that's good.
I don't think I understand that. So is it similar to a Prism photo booth? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm probably not familiar with what a Prism photo booth is. Are you talking about the vendors or the manufacturer?
Well, that's the booth's name, but it comes with you have to purchase the Canon for it, and it has to have a tablet in it as well.
So there's a lot of manufacturers, and I'm not familiar with a lot of them, so that might be one of them. So you're going to want to look for manufacturers that are able to accommodate the iPad and the DSLR. This Photo Booth Expo, I believe I saw a few of them come out there. Mo Booth was one of them. I think I'm trying to think who the other one was. It might have been Moby Booth, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm sure now that this integration came out, there's going to be a lot of other app companies kind of following suit and trying to also get a piece of that market and making sure that they find other manufacturers that make this. So yeah, it's a very cool feature. I hope, hopefully I was able to impress some of you guys with that. Let me toggle over to the different area that I need now. Give me one sec here.
And I'm sorry, I saw that Prism booth question in the chat. I just didn't know what that was. So sorry.
Okay. So what I want to do now here is I want to show you the printing option on it real quick before I move forward. I just need to scan an event real quick, which I'll do now. Where are we at? Scan QR.
Are you able to go over how like the 360 is connected to the DSLR camera? Is it the same setup as a GoPro?
It's the same setup as a GoPro, exact same setup. You just needed to know how I connected to it, which is exactly the same as I showed you with this photo booth. Instead of going GoPro, you're going to hit DSLR. You're going to turn on your DSLR camera, that needs to be on video mode on the dial, and it connects. It connects very, very quick.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
No problem. So give me one sec here. I just scanned into the event. I want to show you guys the print option with the MacBook, which I love, by the way, because when everything's Mac, for whatever reason, everything communicates pretty solid. And I think that's a feature that doesn't get shown as much, but I want to be the one that shows it to you guys, because if you guys are investing in equipment, I want to show you guys the correct way of doing things. So let's do that real quick. Okay. So I just scanned my event, so just kind of bear with me. And I'm going to go back and share my screen from my phone one more time. Here we go. Okay, so I just scanned this event here, and this is where I'm going to print from. You can actually print from the actual kiosk, but I have a developer version on the kiosk right now, and there's one bug that I failed to address before I showed you guys this the printing method. So I just kind of want to clarify going this route. So again, as you can see, my printer is it's at a far distance, right? My printer is not anywhere near connected to this specific iPad here. This actually iPad's not connected to anything. So I just want to go and verify that I'm connected to the right network, which I am. I'm going to go back into TOUCHPIX. So then I'm going to go into settings. I'm going to toggle over to printer, right? And from printer, I'm going to go over where it says connection type. I want to go to air print. Then where it says printers, I'm going to hit the little icon drop down menu, and then it sees my printer here that's connected to my MacBook. I use a program on my MacBook called Printopia. basically it allows it to communicate. And I'm going to hit manual AirPrint selection. That needs to be, that's very important. If you're going to use AirPrint, that manual AirPrint selection needs to be selected. So now I'm going to go back, right? I don't have anything on my gallery, right? And because I don't have anything on my gallery, I'm going to do the same thing I would do with my 360 to shoot everything over here as my sharing kiosk. I'm going to click on gallery. I'm going to click on this letter with the circle, and I'm going to activate receiver. So this is going to become my receiver. I'm going to go over to my photo booth here, and I'm going to actually do the same thing, gallery, click the circle, and then I'm going to hit activate sender. It found my iPad connection, and it says success. So now I can just let my photo booth stand still. And I'm going back to my iPad booth here just to make sure that these files are coming in. And as you can see, the file just made it over. What I'm going to do now is print, right? I'm going to print here. I hit the printer icon. I'm going to hit my printer, which is that model. And I'm hoping it's okay. I want it in color, so I'm just going to hit print. And as you guys can hear, my printer, it just started. There it is, big difference. Absolutely great quality shot. Flash, background looks phenomenal. This is a game changer. This is gonna allow you guys to charge what you guys need to be charging for events and be able to offer different packages and options. So it's not only about the 360, it's about the photo booth. Imagine you owning a 360, but also being able to accommodate the photo booth, industry in the event that you can run them both, or you can run two separate events across town, right? Just hire an attendant to run one and run your second event at the same time. So that's phenomenal. So that's what I wanted to show you. And that's how quick the printer prints. Doesn't have to be connected directly. You could put it on somewhere to the side and it'll definitely print. So I just kind of wanted to show you that. So now we're going to get started with the 360 side of things. Okay, so just wanted to share that. And hopefully, let me stop the share there. Okay. And now I'm going to start to share over here. Give me one quick second here. And I think we're in. Okay, so now you guys can see my computer. Perfect.
Yes.
So this is how you do a 360. I'm going to go from the beginning. I'm going to go over to touchpix.com. And if you haven't done so already, what you need to do is actually register for an account. I'm going to log out so you guys could see the process. So when you go to touchpix.com and you hit login, if you don't have a login credential, you're going to want to register for an account. Okay. So you put your first and last name, and be mindful that when you register with an email, try to register with an email that's associated to your business or the email that's associated to the Apple device that you're going to connect to, right? What I mean by that is every Apple device that you have like an iCloud email address that your devices are associated with. If you have a personal one, what I would recommend is you create a different one for your business, because if you scale up your business and you start adding more devices, you don't want all your personal information being transferred from your device to now your iPad to the third device that you get later down the road. You don't want none of those pictures to be transferred from device to device. If you create a business Apple ID, then it's only going to be used for business use, and you're not going to be worried about your personal information going to your other devices in the event that you have to hire staff now to go run those events. So always register and use a business Apple ID. You can log in and out from the Apple Store, and I will show you how to do that as we get closer to that area. Once you do that, it's going to send you an email where you create a password, and then you're able to log in.
DJ, one moment.
Sure.
I'm getting a lot of direct messages, guys. This webinar is called Getting Started with TOUCHPIX. So DJ is going to run you through beginning to end. So all of your questions, I promise you that your direct messaging me will be answered. He's going to show you how to add music. He's going to show you how you can create your own overlays in the on the website if you choose to, all of that. So just bear with us. It's going to go literally getting started, creating the event from beginning to end.
Okay, cool. And thank you for that. And I know people, they want the answer, right? They want the answer quick, but I try to show this webinar from beginning to the end. That way you understand the process. It's super important that you understand it, because the better I teach it, the less you will call the support line, right? And typically people that call the support line, most times it's because of user error, because they're going too fast and they skip some steps. It's going to take you about 2 or 3 events before you start feeling comfortable with the software, because it's new to you and it should feel that way. So once you log in, right, we have some tabs up here. And what I want to show you here is the tabs that you're going to visit the most. Once you log in, you're going to be taken to what's called My Dashboard. This is where you create your event for the first time. You have 2 options. You have a custom event or an event from preset. I'm going to click preset. I'm going to go over it real quick, but I'm not going to go into detail because I don't like to teach this way. Preset is in the event that you're in a hurry and you want to be up and running in a matter of 3 clicks. This is designed for you. The reason why I don't like to teach it this way is because it already comes with music preloaded. It comes with TOUCHPIX branding, which I know you're not going to want your client to know, right? So you can change them out of this preset. However, if you're going to go through the trouble to change and go back and edit the event, then you might as well learn how to do it from the very beginning. But in case you want to play with some of this stuff, you definitely can and see what applies to your use. It shows you how to use a non-motorized spinner, which is a manual. If you want to use a spinner with a slideshow with a TV, you can do that. And if you want to use a motorized spinner with the slideshow, you can do that as well. But I'm not going to show you that. This is just, I'm just kind of referencing it real quick, because the way I like to show it is create a custom event. So what TOUCHPIX essentially is, it's this long form, right? You're telling the software what to do by picking all the features in this long form, whether it be loading music, whether it be anything else. By filling out this long form, you're telling TOUCHPIX, hey, this is what I want to do. So let's start from the beginning. You're going to click again, create a custom event, and you're going to name this event. Today, we're going to call it webinar. Let's give it today's date, 3/2/22. Language is going to be English. Country is going to be USA. And countdown. As we go down to countdown, it's like any other photo booth. The countdown is the number of seconds it takes before it actually takes a picture, or in your case, for 360, before it starts recording video. For video, I like to keep my countdowns nice and short. I usually go with like 2 seconds or 1. For this, I'm going to go with 2 seconds today. So this just means it's going to count down to 2 seconds before it actually starts recording. The next to this area, you'll see where it says beep sound. Beep sound, all it means is for every second that counts down, you're going to hear an auditory beep for every second. It doesn't hurt if you leave it on or off. If you're in a loud party, you might not even hear it. But if you want to leave it on, by all means, just leave the check mark on. Mirror overlay preview. This is a photo booth feature. You do not need to enable it. I always leave it disabled. If you accidentally enable it, nothing happens. Your overlay may look like it's backwards while you're actually looking at your device, but the output is not going to come out backwards. It doesn't hurt your output at all. It's just only while it's doing live view recording. So for the 360s, I always say leave it off. It doesn't affect you. For people that are using iPhones, it's very important that you recognize the iPhone that you're using. We always recommend to use the rear camera on the iPhone. The reason behind that is because the rear camera iPhone has the highest quality video capability of recording slow motion. It has an ultra wide angle lens that the front camera does not have. It's a better camera than your iPads. So we always recommend iPhone models 11, 12, or 13. It does not matter what subset. It can be the regular iPhone 11, the Pro, or the Pro Max. Same thing with the 12 or 13, it doesn't matter. As long as it's an iPhone 11, 12, or 13, you'll be good. I'm gonna check the rear camera because that's what we were wanting to do. And the other thing is the camera exposure. I'm gonna go ahead and leave that enabled. What the camera exposure does is a lot of people, when you run a 360 booth, there's a separate element that you gotta understand. The separate element is your lighting. If you don't have adequate lighting, your photos may come out too dark or grainy, right? The iPhone has a great sensor, but it's not gonna do miracles either. So you have to have decent lighting. If you don't have decent lighting, I would recommend you enable this because this will allow you to go into your camera menu and adjust your exposure, right? That way you can give it a little brighter output. So you can adjust that. I'll show you that. I'll show you where that's at as I go through the session. So leave this enabled. The QR app protection, leave this off. You do not need this. This is a photo booth option designed to do what we call in the industry drop-off photo booths. So if you ever scale up and you're renting a lot of photo booths, a lot of people in the industry, they drop off iPad booths, right? And in order for people not to go into the settings or in the back end, they enable QR, meaning that nobody can access the back end unless they have the original QR. So this is not used for 360, so leave this off, okay? For video recording, we're not printing, it's just a video file, so we toggle down to where it says no printing, okay? Where it says functions, we're running a slow motion booth, so we're not worried about photos, we're not worried about boomerangs, we're not worried about GIFs, and we're not worried about the video function. We're only worried about the slow motion function, okay? So make sure you check off slow motion. We go down to where it says slow-mo recording time. This is where you can record for a set period of time. It doesn't mean that your output video is going to be 4.5 seconds long. It just means that this is how long you want to record. I typically have everybody start off at around 5.2 or 5.3. That gives you a good 22 second file if you enable the boomerang. What the boomerang means is after it records and it applies the slow motion effects, right when it reaches its ending, the video, it plays it back in reverse. So it's just a video boomerang in reverse. So 5.3 is what I would recommend, and enable slow-mo boomerang. People wanting to know, hey, where do I add the music file? So this is where you add the music file. You have 3 places of where you can add the music file. This is the most common place here. Please be mindful of what it says down here, right? It only takes MP3 music files, and it takes files sizes below 512 megabytes, right? So I'll get a lot of questions usually every day practically saying, hey, DJ, how can I use a file from Apple Music? I bought the song, right? I want to be able to use it. Well, I'm going to teach you how to do it the legal way, because Apple Music is not the legal way. Just because you bought the song, it means that you bought it for your personal use, right? Once you're starting to use it for a business, it changes the dynamics, and now it becomes something a little bit different. And this is why Facebook and other social media apps take down music files or music videos to a certain degree because of licensing. The record companies want to get paid. The record companies think that you're profiting based on their product, so they want to get paid for that. I've seen a couple of occasions where people get sued, more on the big time, they're more big time known photo boothers. They've actually been mailed out cease and desist letters because the video goes viral, it attracts a lot of attention, and now there's people making money off of it that's not the record label, and they don't want to see that. So what we recommend is, if Tia already put it in the chat, we recommend you look at ways where you're not going to get in trouble, right? So there's a couple of ways. You could either not use a music file and use a music file that that people can actually upload themselves off Facebook, because Facebook does pay music labels some money because you do have a selection of music that you can use on Facebook or Instagram or even TikTok for that matter. But there's already some contracts in place between those agreements, right? Because even when you try to save one of those files, it typically doesn't let you save it with the music because it doesn't want to let you post it somewhere else, right? So other options are you could use royalty-free or copyright-free music sites. This just means that they're independent artists and they're willing to license the file for you for a very affordable price. Because if you try to get a license for a mainstream music song, you're able to do that, except you're going to be paying thousands of dollars for that license. It's not going to be worth it for a 360 booth, right? Unless you're doing something very, very high end. But there's ways to do that. But we'll recommend copyright royalty-free music sites like Ben Sound, Epidemic Sound, AudioJungle.net. All of these sites have numerous different musical genres that sound very mainstream, but are not mainstream. That's the only difference. And you can license these, download them, and input them there. For the purpose of this video, what I'm going to show you is just how to add an MP3 music file. Remember, it needs to be MP3. Apple Music, they changed the format. The format is not MP3, it's like an M4A. They do that specifically to prevent people from trying to steal the music that they pay for and pass it on to their friends and whatnot. So in this case, I'm going to click on choose file. What I forgot to tell you guys from the very beginning is when you're setting up an event, I always recommend that you guys set up an event from an actual computer. It's a lot easier if you set it up from a computer. And I'm going to revert back real quick, because if you set this up from a computer, right, you're able to organize your files in a position where you're able to access them quickly. Whether you have a MacBook or you have a PC, I recommend you use either or to set up your TouchPIX event. Do not use a Chromebook, because a Chromebook is not a legitimate computer. It has the Android type of system on there, and you're not able to really create these subdirectories as easy as you are with the PC. So in this case, I made myself a folder on the desktop. You right click on your desktop, go over to new folder, and you can name this folder whatever you want. And in this case, I named it TouchPIX files. And in this folder, I typed in, or I threw in my music files. I threw in my overlays, my artwork that I'm going to use. And I threw in my branding logos that I'm going to use. So this is kind of how you do it. And that's how I'm actually going to show you how to do it. So let's go back to the event, just because I want to revert back. So now I'm going to click choose file, and I'm going to go and look for the desktop folder that I made, which is called TouchPIX files. Once I point it the first time, it's going to open up that same folder as I'm setting up this event. So I have two music files here. I'm going to use this file here called Latin Joint. I did grab that from, I think it was Epidemic Sounds. I did pay for that for one of my events. And as you can see, and now loaded the file. That's one of the places where you can load music. I'll show you where the rest of them are as I go through this demonstration. Screen flash, you're going to leave this off. You don't need this. This is for the photo booth side. It's meant for your iPad to mimic a flash. So leave it off. And we're going to scroll down to where it says timeouts. These represent number of seconds. So if you're running a photo booth, you may want to have some editing time, meaning that it's going to allow you to draw on the picture. It's going to allow you to use props on the picture. But we're using a video booth, so we're going to put 0 instead of 12 seconds. The thank you screen, I'm not worried about the thank you screen. I'm going to put 0. I want it to cycle through as quickly as possible. Putting props on a picture, I'm using a video booth again, so I'm going to put 0. So for editing, thanks, and props, put the numerical value of 0 for your 360 booth. The only one you're going to leave as is sharing. You're going to allow up to 12 seconds for people to be able to input their phone numbers or email addresses to share. So you can leave it at 6 or 12. Since 12 is standard, I always just tell people when you're messing with the software for the first time, leave it at 12. If it's a little too long for you, then drop it down to 6. Okay. So again, 0, 0, 0, and sharing is the only one that should be at 12. Okay. So as we scroll down now, we have the sharing methods of how TouchPIX shares. We can share via email. I'm not going to use Facebook. I'm not going to use Twitter. I'm going to use WhatsApp because that's a popular sharing platform now for like international guests that are coming from other areas. SMS is your texting. So the SMS means text messaging. I'm not going to use copy, but I am going to use download, airdrop, QR code in general. Let me explain what download is, first of all. So for a lot of people that use iPhones, more than likely, when you surf the internet on your iPhone, you're gonna tap on the Safari web browser because that natively comes with your iPhone. So Apple does all these weird things with their own ecosystem because they don't want you to use anything else. What I mean by the importance of selecting download is because if a client or a guest from an iPhone sends themselves a text message, right, to receive this file, they're not going to get the actual video file. What they're going to get is a link of where to download that file, right? If the guest presses on that link from their iPhone, that link automatically opens up the Safari web browser. If you do not check this download button, that Safari web browser with the link, it's not going to have the download option. Therefore, they're going to have a hard time trying to download their content. I'm sorry. So this needs to be checked on because if you check this on, when they click on that link and they open the Safari web browser, automatically they will see a download button. So it's very important to leave this download option checked off, okay? AirDrop is pretty self-explanatory. It's probably the preferred way of sharing. It's instantaneous, but it's only from iPhone to iPhone. QR code means that you will see a QR code pop up if you have a decent internet, and Android users will be able to share via QR code as well. And then we've added this general, right? This general way of sharing now can share via iMessage, WhatsApp, some social media platforms, messengers, and things of that nature. So we're allowing different ways to share your content. And this is kind of the setup that I use personally. Email, WhatsApp, SMS text, download, AirDrop, QR code in general. So you can use all these to try out. The edit screen, leave it off. If you hover over these question marks, it actually tells you what that feature does. You know, we're not working with photos, so I don't want anybody to be able to draw on or add filters in that sense to photos, right? There's filters for videos, but it's not added that way. It's added at a different screen, and we'll get there shortly. Very, very important that this in-app gallery is checked on. This controls your sharing mechanisms, and this is very important to leave this on. Always leave in-app gallery on, okay? As we're scrolling down now, the email subject, this is all part of the subscription. You can change this message to say, you know, your photo booth business name. You can change all of this message here to say or represent your company. So in this case, what I'm going to do is, thank you for using, just for illustration, XYZ video booth. And I'm going to go .com, right? And what I do is I get a simple generic message like this. I'm going to right click on it, hit copy. Make sure that you don't use any special characters such as the @ the pound, the dashes. You know, try to refrain from that because it's not going to allow you to do that. The reason we took that off is because the provider that we use sometimes filters the messages as spam, right? We use Twilio. Twilio delivers the message content, but they sometimes think, hey, look, these guys are trying to either email or text message a lot of spam. So I right click, hit copy, and I'm going to paste that on every box. I keep it the same. I keep the same message on every box. I don't want to switch up individual messages for every box. You don't need to do that. And it works for me. So right click, paste. You can change this here, and away we go. We're not gonna worry about props, so that's gonna be no props, right? And the app name. So this is where you can put your company name. You know, again, I can put XYZ photo booth. So now we're here on the branding section, right? The branding section is important for you to know. All of these are places where you can add your logo. This is how to brand your setup and make it relate to your business. You don't want it to say TOUCHPIX. Make it personable for you. That way people can see it, people know how to get a hold of you. So whatever logo you put in here, it'll take a JPEG, PNG, right? And it can't be larger than 4 megabytes. All of these have different parameters, but from experience, I use the same logo in all 3 locations. I'll tell you where you're going to see these logos in the event that you use them. The app logo. The app logo is usually on your sharing station, on the top center of your sharing station. And if you're using an Apple TV to screen mirror, you will see that logo that you loaded here on both your sharing station and on your Apple TV. The app background, whatever logo you load here will appear in the back of your iPad or the back of your iPhone behind the controls for TOUCHPIX. Like I just showed you an example of the photo booth that I used earlier with the DSLR. So that start screen, this is where that start screen gets loaded. It's behind the controls, and I'll be a little bit more specific once I load everything, and I'll show you everything where it's at. The web gallery, know this, that when you're doing an event, you're going to be assigned a specific web gallery for that event. So your logo is going to be behind the web gallery. This is a way to personalize it. So I use the same logo in all 3 locations. And I'm going to start with the first one, choose file. It automatically opens up the TOUCHPIX files folder. And I'm going to be using this PNG file, right? I like to work with PNGs. I don't know if people know the difference between a PNG and a JPEG, right? The JPEG is more of an image with a background to it, right? It's kind of a solid image. So if you were to see this TOUCHPIX logo as a JPEG, you're going to see the TOUCHPIX logo, but you're also going to see the white background attached to it, right? But because this is actually a PNG, it's a transparent file. It just means that the TOUCHPIX logo is hovering. There's actually no color in the back. It's only the logo, right? If you can, get into the practice of working with PNG files, because you're going to use them for your overlays. You're going to use them quite a lot for your overlays. And the more you work with one file system, the less chance of an error to make by switching back and forth from JPEG to PNG. So in this case, I'm going to click this logo here, TOUCHPIX. I'm going to click open. For the app background, I'm going to use the same logo. If I hover over this logo, you could actually see the dimensions of my logo and the size, right? So you can see it's 2100 by 1500, and that's in pixels. Just make sure you are using something within those parameters. I would recommend anything below or 2500 by 2500 or below. I think those are perfect sizes for any of the iPads or any of the iPhones that you're using, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click that again. And for my web gallery, I'm actually using the same exact logo. You can change them up, but I think as you set up events, it'll make it a lot quicker if you are happy with the certain presentation that you have. Over here, we have what's called an attract screen. It's more used for the photo booth side, but you can also use it for the 360. I'm not going to use it in this case, but what it does is just an attract screen. If your photo booth or video booth sits at idle and nobody's using it for a period of like 2 minutes or more, then you can actually use a music. You can use like a animated video that attracts attention. Maybe it's a video of the bride and groom, some type of animation that you created, or some type of lettering with movement that's an MP4. It's just meant to create attention, to kind of grab people's attention and saying, oh, what's that over there? I see some movement, or I see some bright lights. So this is more like a screensaver, and to get out of that mode, all you have to do is tap the screen. But I don't use it, but you can experiment with it if you want to. I'm not loading anything on there. The text and button color, if you're using a logo that has a white background, you do not want your text or your buttons to also have or be colored in white, because they're going to be camouflage. You're not going to be able to see your text or your buttons. So if that's the case, you can click on this square and change your text or your buttons to be red or black or any other color. I know my background is not white, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it at white. We're now where it says motion trigger. Under the motion trigger side of things, if you're using an iPhone, if you enable motion trigger and you put it on the 360 spinner and you have an automatic spinner, once you hit the start button on your remote, the iPhone, because it has a built-in GPS sensor, it'll detect that it's being moved. It's going to tell the app to turn on and start the recording process. So it's just basically going to detect motion and it'll start the app without you having to tap the screen of the iPhone that you're using. You can use it if you want. The motion trigger, a lot of people like to use it. A lot of people don't. I personally don't use it, but I've seen a lot of people do. It's more of a preference. If you want to play around with it to see how sensitive it is, you can definitely do that. I'm going to uncheck it. I just wanted to show you how that works. And in this case, the external session. So the external session is also optional. This works great with an Apple TV, right? I recommend the Apple TV box, not the TVs that have built-in Apple TV. The reason why I say that is because the TVs that have built-in Apple TV, they require a Wi-Fi connection. So if you're doing an event out in the park, you might not have that Wi-Fi connection readily available for you to use it. Versus the Apple TV box, it doesn't require a Wi-Fi connection. It'll communicate with your iPhone because it's an Apple to Apple device. And it's just a more stable connection in my opinion. So if you are going to use the external screen, this is one of those areas where you want to consider charging more. If you're taking TVs out to your event because you're enhancing the event, you're enhancing your presentation as being more professional, you shouldn't be charging your base price. For a TV, you should be charging at least $200, $300, $400 and up, depending on how big that TV is. What this feature allows you to do, if you click enable external screen, right, it'll actually allow people to see themselves being recorded while it's on live view. So when somebody's on the spinner, right, and they start a session, you'll be able to see the entire recording process on the TV wirelessly. Once it's done, once the session is done, the guest will step off and they'll be able to see themselves on the TV while the video is processing. And then you can see the video playback right there on demand. And right when the video playback is happening at the very end, if you have decent Wi-Fi, you will be given a QR code right beneath the videos. Therefore, the guest can now scan the TV QR code and be able to get that video instantaneously. So it's a very cool feature. You can see why I would recommend that you do an upcharge on this. It's completely optional. Obviously, the live view can be on. If you're using a GoPro, we're working on the live view integration. It's not ready yet. But if you're using a GoPro, I recommend instead of doing external session, you use it as a slideshow. And it'll start playing the slideshow for the entire night. Every single session that you've done, that'll just cycle through a slideshow of videos. And that sometimes looks pretty cool as well. Right, so I'm gonna leave external session and company logo enabled. Just know that the company logo, it grabs the logo of the whatever file you added here. So if you added an app logo here, it's gonna show up on the big screen TV. And essentially we're done. So I'm gonna hit submit. So it's telling me there's an issue, and my issue is going to be right here where it says .com. The text messages is very sensitive to this. So in this case, you can just leave the dot off of it. And then again, this is for your own good. That way your text messages send out. Because I put a dot in there, it's telling me like, look, there's a special character. We don't want it to get flagged. So I just erased the dot, and now I'm going to hit submit one more time and it should go through. So this is my QR code. Before I scan into this event, now we're going to design the actual overlay. So the way to design the overlay, TOUCHPIX gives you a designer tool. So I'm going to click on designer. And by the way, this is going to get updated fairly soon. There's going to be a better designer platform that's going to allow you for more patterns, more designing features. So if people are designing, are struggling with designing, you know, just give us, you know, a few more weeks, and I think you guys are going to be pleased with how we've restructured this. So it's in the works. Once we're in Designer, I'm going to go over here to the left-hand side. I'm interested on hitting templates. As you can see, it automatically goes over to slow-mo overlays. This is where I want to be. If you look at template number 1, it's more of a vertical style template, right? If you're using an iPhone, I'd recommend you put your iPhone in the vertical position where the camera's on top instead of on its side, right? This is good for like the new Instagram Reel or the Facebook Reels, right? This is a perfect size for that. Another popular template is this slow-mo overlay 2. If I click on it, you see how it's going to jump over to this screen. I'm going to click on it, and now it's a big square. This is popular based on Instagram. The Instagram posts, these are perfect squares. A lot of people use these. As you can see, it's a little bit of a wider look than overlay 1. But if you go to overlay 3, all of a sudden you have a wider look, right? I personally like using this one. 2 and 3 are my favorites, but whatever is your preference, you're going to pick whatever look you want to go for. Template 4 is actually an ultra wide, so it gives you a wider angle. And template 5 is more of a cropped out vertical screen. For the purposes of this webinar, I'm actually going to use 3 because I'm going to show you some special effects, right? I'm going to show you some special effects. So let's use overlay 3. I'm going to click on it, and it automatically jumps over to your screen. When you're ready to design, what you can do is you have a couple of options. If you're going to design within this platform, you're not, you know, you don't want to pay anybody because there is freelance graphic designers everywhere, specifically in our group. You can hit up any of those people that will do an awesome job for you. But I understand a lot of people are new to the business and they want to do everything themselves. You will quickly find out how easy it is or how much more valuable it is to delegate the work, the design work, to somebody else if you're not very good at it, because you want to present a very professional look to your clients. That way you get bookings. And if they see a design that doesn't look like it was designed well, or it doesn't look like the designer kind of knew what they were doing, it's kind of a turnoff. And think about it from the guest perspective. Do you want to hire somebody like that? Probably not. Doesn't mean that I'm trying to talk you away from practicing, but I'm just kind of being real with you because some people need to hear that. So once I click on the 3rd template, if you want to design it yourself, I'm one to admit I'm not big on designing stuff. I'm not a designer. I'm going to click on stickers, and TouchPIX gives you a whole bunch of like transparent files that you can use to design. You can go through this list. It has a lot of different things, right? You can add multiple if you want, but you can go through this entire list and kind of go from there. In this case, I'm going to use something pretty basic, or let's just use this circle here. I clicked on this circle and it popped it over to the screen. While it's on the screen now, you can drag it wherever you want. You can resize it, right? You can resize it, and actually you could even change the color. If you wanted a different color, play with these slider bars here to see what's a good fit for you. I use that, right? And if you want to center it exactly in the middle, you can click on enable grid, and you can actually enable the grid right there, right? Disable the grid, click it again. And you can keep on adding different stickers if that's what you want to do. Like I said, it has a bunch of them. You can throw some lights if you want. I'm going to delete these anyways, but I'm just kind of giving you an idea of what you can do, right? And if you want to add text, you can just click here on the left-hand side, text as well, and click on large text. It bounces over to your screen, right? And you can either change the font color to something else. I'm not a designer, like I said, so I'm just kind of showing you how to navigate through some of the stuff, and maybe change the font itself, and maybe double click on the actual file here and typing in something like happy. I'm going to duplicate this. This means duplicate right here. Let's see if I can get it going. Okay, so here we go. I duplicated it. Then I'm going to double click on this bottom one. And then I can type in birthday. And then you can drag it and play around with it and center it. It's two separate files. And, you know, so this is kind of how to design something in here with what you have. If I wanted to add a border, right? I'm going to go over to uploads. I don't have a border in there, but the new release will have a bunch of new designs that you guys will be more than happy with. And I had somebody design me a border. It's a PNG file. Like I said, I always work with transparent files. So I'm going to click on this. I went to uploads. And before I show you that, actually, I'm going to, if you go custom overlay under uploads, if you hover over the question mark, it's going to tell you the size of every template. So if you do have somebody design it for you, let them know which template you're using and give them this specific size. So I'm using template 3. So mine's 1440 by 1072. Your designer is going to want to know that before they design anything for you. Everything's in pixels. And I'm going to click browse. I'm going to use this PNG file here, select it, open, right? It pops it right here on your lower left-hand side. And if I click on it, look what happens. It adds it. So there's that border that I need for my video. So if that's something that I wanted to use, it's very simple. After this, you can still add your logo if you want. To add your logo, make sure it's a PNG file and hit browse under sticker. It automatically takes me to that TOUCHPIX folder. That's why it makes it super easy for you to navigate. I'm going to use this TOUCHPIX logo, click open. I'm going to scroll all the way to the top because that's where it places it. Click on it here. And there is my TOUCHPIX logo, right? This is just an example of what you would do with your branding on your video. Place it somewhere subtle but noticeable. And once you're ready, if this is something that you're happy with, then I'm going to click add file, right? I would click that. I'm not going to use this because I want to show you guys a special effect. And but this is how you would design a template in TOUCHPIX. I'm going to click on every piece that I use and I'm going to delete it, right? So I'm going to show you something else. I'm deleting everything, including the logo. And I believe if I go over to uploads, I can X out that frame as well. I'm just going to upload a blank template 3 frame, right? When I hit add template, make sure you, whether you're going to use a overlay or not, make sure you tell the software which template it is that you want to use, even if it's a blank template like I did. So I just hit add template. It turns mustard and then it turns green. It says template added. So now I'm ready to go as far as scanning into my event. So I'm going to go over to events. This is my webinar event. It says test mode. I'm going to click QR code and let me get the other device ready. You guys have any questions? Maybe Tia, or I don't think Charles is on anymore, but maybe they can assist while I'm preparing the phone. That way you guys can see those features. Any questions?
Oh, well, I guess that's a good sign.
Yeah, it is a good sign. That's the first, actually.
I couldn't find my unmute.
India, no, you cannot.
Mhm. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So when you were adding like the border, where did that come from? I'm looking on my computer and I missed.
Yeah, so that border file is something that I have that I created on Photoshop. But we've had a lot of demand for borders to come in like that. So our developing team is going to be releasing an upgraded version of the designer, which I think a lot of people are going to be pleased with, because you're now going to be able to navigate through how to design something a lot easier without having to start all over every single time. We're going to give out borders. We're going to give out different types of designs that people are going to be more than happy to at least begin with.
And then if I wanted to use a designer, how do I go about that for my, there are more
Yeah.
designs available.
I put a few designers that you can find in the Facebook user group in the chat. And there's several more in the chat. You could just use the search option and just search designers, or you could just create a post and ask, you know, who's interested or available to create an overlay. I see someone in the chat said that they're a graphic designer. I would just recommend do your research, ask to see previous work, be clear on the expectations. In the past, I think there's been some instances where someone may have been, you know, not as legit as they perceive. So, you know, do your research. What we put in the chat and what we recommend are just our recommendations. We are in no way, shape, form, or fashion endorsing those designers. So, you know, just do your due diligence to research who you select to work with.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
All right, I'm almost there. I'm gonna switch gears real quick because I trying to allow for you guys to see the entire experience here before I confuse you here. Yeah, so yeah, well said, Tia. I think you know, we can't police who got paid, who didn't get paid for a design or the way they take money. Just know this, that if you ask a designer to work on something for you, make sure that they're actually showing you, you know, that they've made an effort to work on whatever it is that is. Whether it's watermarked or not, that'll tell you a good indicator that they at least, you know, have a process started, right? Because I think there's just been a lot of complaints in the group where people get burnt, and we're not trying to really endorse that. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So, oh, I'm not going to be able to show you that. Damn. Okay.
Then also, while DJ is still transitioning, we are now live on TikTok as well as Instagram. You'll get certain updates on those platforms that you may not get in the user group if you are a member of the user group. So I'll drop those links to our pages in the chat. So please follow us and just stay engaged across all of our platforms. And I also put a link to the Facebook user group if you aren't already a member of the user group. To be approved for membership in the user group, you will need to first set up a free account on touchpix.com. And then when you request membership in the user group, just provide the email address associated with your free account that you created on touchpix.com.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with our groups now. I think we've been expanding for quite some time now, but rightfully so. I think we've been the most popular 360 app based on, you know, we've been the first ones to offer it for quite some time. So I'm going to do a screen mirroring right now. And I know you guys can probably see my screen mirroring screen. I'm inputting a code to make sure that my iPhone can sync up, because I want you guys to understand the process. And it should be mirroring in a few seconds here. Perfect. Okay, so this is my iPhone that just popped into the screen. And what I'm gonna do is, I already have an event preloaded. So I'm just gonna show you how to scan into the event to a certain degree. Let me see. I think the best way to show you, actually, yeah, let me do it this way. Give me 1 second here. I had an event preloaded and I don't want to confuse you. So what I'm going to do is turn on my camera and show you that way. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is my other iPhone. So once you download TouchPIX, just kind of running you through a couple of things here. If you're going to buy a subscription, you're going to press subscription right below. And as you can see, we have 3 different packages. We have a weekly package for $49.99. If you're brand new, that's probably the best package that may be a good fit for you because you're not established. You probably don't have a lot of bookings. And I need you to understand that any of these subscriptions through the App Store are subscriptions, meaning that just like Apple Music, just like Spotify, they're going to be reoccurring charges unless you tell them to stop. Okay. So $49.99 gets you 7 days, unlimited uses, unlimited events. That's what the weekly subscription is. The middle one is $139.99. If you're a little bit more busy, you have some established bookings and you know that you're gonna, have a few extra bookings. It's a little bit of a cost savings. So that may be something that, is a good fit for you. And as you can see right now, this is gonna end tonight. The professional per year is regular price $9.99. We still have it at the show's price for $7.99. So this is a great bargain because essentially it's a huge cost savings if you're going to be booking stuff every weekend or multiple weekends at a time. This will save you the most money, right? So depending on which one you have, this is where you get it, right? Once you make the purchase, then what you're going to want to do is hit activate event, right? And it's going to give you 3 options. It's going to give you a test option. Test option just probably means you want to test the event. You probably don't have a subscription yet, but you just want to test some of the features. The sharing station option will actually is kind of aligned with how we share. So that's not it. We want to activate an event. So we're going to hit activate event. It's going to ask you for camera permissions. Make sure you give it permissions for everything. So then your camera turns on, and then I'm going to go over to my screen here, and I'm going to scan that QR code. And you see how it says event recognized. It's now setting up the event. It's going to ask you for permissions for your local network. Hit yes. Permissions for your microphone. Hit yes. Permissions for your Bluetooth. Hit OK. And access to your camera roll, because it's going to save everything on your camera roll temporarily. So hit allow. And because I'm going to use the Apple TV, it's also saying that it needs to download some resource and hit OK. But as you can see, there is my TOUCHPIX logo that I use, right? If I go over to the gallery, or I'm going to let it download real quick before I hover away. So this is the event that we set up, but I'm gonna switch gears right now to another event that I had loaded. It's practically the same thing, but I want to show you some special features, and I'll be able to share some of these files with you guys. They're TOUCHPIX branded files, but at least it'll allow you to practice on how to load, some of these special effects or special overlays. So it's just downloading that quick little resource. That typically does it. It only does that once. You would have to do that again if you delete the app and reinstall it. But once it downloads it once, it's going to be on your phone moving forward. Okay, so now we're good. So if I hit gallery, you see how TOUCHPIX comes up there as gallery. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm gonna switch gears now. So this is TOUCHPIX here, right? What I want you to focus on, I'm going to make this bigger here, is this menu bar right here. Right when you load up the event, you're only going to see one experience, which is slow-mo. If this was a photo booth, I might have added photos, I might have added GIFs and some other functions, but this is strictly for slow motion. So this is your menu bar. I want you to hit your menu bar. I call it the hamburger. And you're going to click on settings. The very first time you set this up, you're going to want to make sure that this here is set to ultra high quality. That's the highest quality that you're able to record with your iPhone, right? I'm actually going to bump up the recording time, even though I showed you guys that I always use 5.3. I'm going to make sure it's at 5.3. All of these other settings typically get transferred over when you set up your event, right? When you scan the QR code, it sets up these other settings for you. I'm going to toggle to the right here, hitting that right arrow. We're not printing because this is a 360, so I'm not worried about that. The camera portion of things, right? So the camera portion of things right now, it's selected to back camera. Before I make any changes, I'm going to leave it there. And I want you guys to focus right down here. Leave it on auto face exposure for now. And what you need to focus on for the first time when you download this app is the slow-mo speed. Click on slow-mo speed and make sure you adjust it to 1920 by 1080 at 120 frames per second. It's the first option. There's two of them. Use the first option and click done, right? After you do that, if you're using an iPhone, you're going to want to click on lens type, right? Click on lens type and you're going to find the ultra wide lens and click on done. It's going to give you a little warning saying that you've altered it to that specific setting. And if you have a GoPro, this is where you will toggle to your GoPro. If that's what you want to do, you're going to toggle to the GoPro, turn on your GoPro and hit connect to GoPro if you're using a GoPro 8, 9, or 10. If you're using a GoPro 6 or 7, you're going to have to download the GoPro app. And there's a tutorial on YouTube that I will show you on how to make those connections, but it's very similar. Obviously, if you're using our new DSLR, you're going to toggle over to DSLR. You're going to enable live view, right? And then you're going to hit connect DSLR. But in this case, we're going through the iPhone setup. I'm going to leave it at back camera, right? And as long as these settings match, you're going to be good. We're now going to click the right arrow right here on camera. This is where all the special effects live, okay? So what I want to show you from here are these things here, right? If you don't have music, and if you don't want to bother with getting music right now, I'm going to actually delete every effect right now, just so I could start from scratch. So I'm deleting all these effects, right? And once you hit this area, it's telling you you can only use 3 effects. And unfortunately, right now, music takes one of them. So I want to add a music file. Well, TOUCHPIX gives you free music files, right? And they're all pretty good, feel-good music files. And the way you get those files is you're going to go over to where it says add effect. You're going to, once you hit add effect, you're going to see this list, and you're going to go all the way down to where it says music, right? Then you're going to click on done. Once you see the music inside this gray box, you're going to click on music. You're going to see these tracks pop up. They're not named. They're usually just numbered from 1 to 14. I'm going to click track 1. Okay. Now I'm ready for my second effect. My second effect, I'm going to click add effect. And I'm going to use this black and white portrait effect. Okay. I'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to click done. And if you want to know what every single effect looks like, we also have a YouTube channel, TOUCHPIX. I'm sure Tia put a link in the chat. There's a video that goes through every single effect and what it looks like. Once I add this effect, I'm now going to click on the effect inside the gray box. I'm going to click on it now. And once you click on it, you're going to see this little timeline. This line here represents your video. This is the beginning of your video. This is the end of your video. The way this effect is laid out right now, it looks like it's placed on the entire video. I don't want that. I only want this effect to be shown at a certain segment of the video. So what I can do is this little dot here, you can drag it with your finger and it'll allow you to place it at a specific point of the video. So I drag the first dot, 0.6, and now I'm going to drag that second dot because I want it just there. From 0.6 to 0.8, I want this effect to turn on, right? So I don't want it on its entire video, just this section. Last effect here, considered one of the more advanced effects, and this is where a good graphic designer comes into play. I'm going to go ahead and click add effect, and then I'm going to go to where it says overlay alpha. And I can share these files so you guys can practice. Overlay alpha, you're going to need a designer that knows what they're doing. Not everybody can do these, but there's some great people in our group that are very affordable that do a nice job. In this specific case, I'm using a overlay done by a person named Fernando. I believe his name I want to say he's from North Carolina, and I don't want to butcher his last name, but I think it's DeGives, Fernando DeGives. He did this for our show, and I'm going to click on overlay alpha. And now once I click on overlay alpha, it's telling me to choose a file. Well, when you get to this type of overlay, whatever graphic designer designs it for you, they're probably gonna, more than likely, they're gonna email it to you. You wanna open up that email from that device and save it onto your phone, right? It's a big file, so you wanna save it onto your phone. And once I click on Overlay Alpha, I'm gonna click Choose File. I'm gonna look for this specific overlay on my phone. This is my phone directory. I saved it and it's called Animated Overlay 3. And it loaded right away, right? There's one more thing that I want to add before I show you. Right here is, this is called a pre-roll and a post-roll. I always recommend using the post-roll. This is basically where the designer can create a animated overlay, or I'm sorry, animated design with your business logo to be merged at the end of the video. It's almost like a promo video at the end. So when the person watching this video, they'll know how to contact you, right? So it's called a post-roll video, MP4 or an MOV. I'm gonna go ahead and click post-roll. And again, I'm gonna go into my files. That's where I saved it. And hopefully I have something here. And it's right down here, post-roll. I loaded onto the phone and I'm ready to go. So I have 3 effects and I have that in place. So now I'm ready to show you what it looks like, okay? So I'm gonna do a quick little sample of what that looks like, because from here, what you're gonna wanna do is hit the back button, hit go back, and I'm gonna turn my phone sideways. And let me wipe the lens real quick. I don't have my 360 here, but let's see how it looks. So that's my countdown. 3, 2, I'm in my office chair, so I'm just spinning. So I'm just spinning around in my office chair. All right. Let's see the output. I'm hoping my phone doesn't freeze right now. It usually does that when I'm screen mirroring a video file, but let's hope for the best. So it's adding slow-mo. Mind you, it's going to take a couple of extra seconds because I'm adding a video overlay, and those don't take as long, but it just adds a few extra seconds towards the processing time. So as you can see, it's adding the outro video. Now it's going to add the audio, and we're basically done. Adding audio, and you should see the playback right now. What do you guys think about that? Looks pretty cool, right? Those are the animated overlays. You guys have any questions on how I loaded that or what the process is with that? Or do you guys want to see just a regular overlay as well? Any questions?
Yeah, DJ, I got a question. What's the difference in when we, because I know most of the webinars you always use the overlay black for the animations. What's the difference now with the overlay black and the one you just used now, the overlay alpha?
So yeah, so there is quite a big of a difference, right? Overlay black was the way we first figured out how to use animated overlays. It works, but it takes a long time to process that file. So if I were to use the same animation in overlay black, it would take a long time for that to process, right? They found a new way of doing it through the overlay alpha. Alpha just means it's an alpha channel that's made to be transparent. People who use Adobe After Effects or Adobe Animate are very familiar with how to do this. And the processing time is extremely fast. Actually, with overlay alpha, it processes the file quicker than just a regular non-moving overlay. That's how fast it is. So it's just overlay alpha works. It's just more of an antiquated system that we used early on when TOUCHPIX came out. And with time, things are just getting better and better and faster and faster.
So then with that being said, then so the package that you guys sell, the sparkles and the confetti package. I know that those were used with the overlay
Yeah,
black. So
those were used with
you know,
those were
can
used
those-
with the overlay black, and those are used as effects, not necessarily as overlays. You know, but I think that if those get restructured at some point, those can also be a little quicker with the overlay alpha. You know, overlay black works. Overlay
my
black.
que-
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off. My question is though, can those same effects be used with the overlay alpha the same way with the overlay black?
No, negative. It's a different. It's a different animation technique.
Okay.
So yeah, those are MP4 files and the overlay alphas are MOV files. So they're completely different containers that are read by the software, completely different. But they work the same. The way you load them are the exact same thing.
Okay.
Can you go back to what your overlays, what your effects were, please?
Sure.
While you're going there, can someone also post the YouTube information for the effects video that you were talking about?
Sure.
What
Okay.
effects video? I think I missed that. What
So
effects video?
so there's on the TOUCHPIX official YouTube page, there's a video where Martin illustrated all the effects.
Oh, the video effects.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. And I also put the link to the TOUCHPIX YouTube in the chat already, but I'll put a direct link to that video.
Perfect. Yeah, so I'm here at the video effects. What specific, is there something specific that you wanted to see from here?
So yes, I guess the little watery wave thing that was at the bottom with the TOUCHPIX template, our logo, was that when you hit the post roll, was that what you already had pre-made, or how did you add that effect?
No, that effect is called overlay alpha. I had a professional designer. He actually made that for us for a fee for the photo booth expo, right? So this is what I mean that you may want to check out some designers, some freelance designers, because they can do phenomenal work. I'm not a designer myself, so wouldn't know how to make something like that. But this is just an extra option. I'm trying to show you what TOUCHPIX is capable of instead of just static, non-moving overlays, right? Because I'm sure a lot of people on this call have seen static, non-moving overlays, but there's probably a few of you who have seen overlays with all this movement and animation and color popping out. So I want to show you what those files look like. So I'm going to go into my file. Let's see here if I can find it. Here we go, my files. So this is the animation. As you can see, it's a 5.3 megabytes. I'm going to go ahead and press on it, and this is what the animation looks like by itself. The software just removes and inserts the video in there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you said that the ones that are on the actual website that we purchased, the animations, they don't work because the MP4.
They were
Well, I mean, as far as the alpha, what if I converted them to MOVs? Would it still be? Is that what the actual issue is, or is it like the?
No,
color?
it's a special color.
The color,
codec.
right?
Correct.
The alpha has to be the color. All right.
Correct. It's a color. Correct. So yeah. So this is, I'm just trying to show you what it looks like, and I don't mind sharing these files for you. That way you can test and how to load them, and that way if you do get somebody that designs something for you, you have a working copy to kind of test and say, yes, this one works, but maybe the one that they give yours is not working for whatever reason. So you know it's not user error, basically.
Yeah, you can actually make the animations like that in Canva too. I know a lot of people use Canva. Like I use Canva to make designs, but you can make the animations in Canva as well.
Yeah. And then this is the outro video that got merged at the end. This is a completely different file, right? You know, this is something that you may want to make for your business. That way people know how to get a hold of you. There's just two completely different files. And let me see if I have anything else I can show you here. This is a different one here. All of these are animated overlays with the alpha channel. Yeah, so you guys definitely have choices. I'm just, like I said, I'm not trying to overwhelm you. This is another one. This is another designer that, you know, has done stuff for us, right? So you can get as creative as you can and go from there. But once you get this stuff down, as far as how to load it, I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up a little bit. You know, after that, it's pretty solid and pretty easy to do. Any other questions with any of this?
I have one question.
Sure.
So once you've designed your overlay and all that, and you submit it, if you think you've made a mistake or you want to make changes, is it too late then and you got to go back and redo it altogether?
Well, so yeah, that's kind of one of the downsides with our current system, but that's, like I said, that's going to change fairly quick. Let me see if I can show you something real quick. Let me go somewhere else. Okay, so yeah, so I'm back over to the web side of things. That's going to change fairly soon. So right now, if I were to click events, and I'm going to pick a random, a different event, because this one here that I loaded the overlay from my phone. I didn't load it from the web, right? So it's grabbing it from my phone. But if I let me try to get this one here. If I go to this webinar, nope, same one. And you click on overlays, these are all the same, okay. Man, I've been showing that for a while then. I'm trying to show you something a little bit more, a little different, right? Okay, let's see if, well, that's not gonna work either. Yeah, so I'm just going to show you something here. So this is kind of an overlay that I designed in the past. So to answer your question, if you want to edit this overlay, because I might have found a mistake or something like that, you're really not able to do that. You're really not able to edit because it's not going to save it for you unless you come in here. If you go to events, tap on overlay, then I right click it and go save image as, it'll now save it as a PNG. That way you can have it and you don't have to like redesign it again from scratch. But a lot of people don't know how to do that. So to answer your question in the best way possible, because things are going to be switching fairly quick, is just wait for our new release. Our new release, you're actually going to be able to save different layers of your design. That way, if there's a mistake, you don't have to start all over. You can just clear that specific area that you want to switch up and replace it with whatever it is you want to add to that design. So it's going to be vastly improved. There's going to be a lot of different options, but for now, the answer would be no. If you give us, a few extra weeks, about a month, I think that other design is going to come out soon, where a lot of people are going to find it more user-friendly on how to design their own overlays. And I understand people want to learn because all of this takes extra money. If you're hiring a designer, if you're paying for the app, but this is kind of why we want you to understand too, you got to know your value. You can't be charging the low end of the price point, or you can't be charging at the high end of the price point unless you have a lot of experience and your output is, you're very confident on your output. You really have to take all of these expenses into account and charge something that you're able to be making some profit on without having to worry about spending on a designer or another things that you may want to add to your event.
DJ, I'm getting a lot of direct messages and a couple of public messages about sharing station. Will we have time to cover that?
Sure. Let's go over to the sharing station now. Let me see. With that, I'm going to toggle over my phone and I'm going to see if I can make it work real quick. Let's make it happen. Give me a sec here. I think okay, so the next part is going to be covering the sharing station. Recommend your sharing station. It can be a different iPad. It can be doesn't really have to be a high-end iPad. Anything that's able to load the latest version of TouchPIX is fine. And let me just input my passcode here and I should be able to connect with you guys. And it's a very easy process. But if you do it in the sequential order, I think you'll have more success in loading a successful sharing station. So I'm going to go ahead and share this screen here. Okay, here we go.
Oh, we can't see your screen.
Yeah, I'm loading it now. Sorry, it's a little delayed on my end. Here we go. Okay, so this is the sharing station portion of things, okay? This is the phone where I have TouchPIX loaded, right? And this is just my random iPad. What I would recommend when you're starting is you can do this on both devices. Let's do this. So what would be the best way? I'm gonna delete this app real quick because I want to show you from the beginning. I want to show you from the moment you scan your device, right? Okay, so it's down there
While
on
you're doing
TouchPIX.
that, oh, okay,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I've received a few direct messages about DSLR with the 360. DJ doesn't have his 360 set up right now. So maybe we can cover that in next week's webinar.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but what were the questions? Because typically I don't need the 360 setup to show you how that works.
They just want to know how would DSLR work with the 360, because you covered the photo booth portion.
Okay, got it. So give me a sec. So I can answer some of those questions as well with the DSLR. Let me see here. Just give me a sec. Multitasking. So what they want to know is just how to connect the camera. I don't think they need to see the actual, spin cycle on it. They just want to know how that would work and how they're probably going to mount it onto their
correct,
their device. And I can show them how to do that fairly quick. But let me get through the sharing station and then I'll pivot back to that and then we'll end it with questions if there's any, and then we'll kind of go from there. Let me get a different QR code here. Sorry. Wish you guys can go ahead.
Are they going to come out with a better way to switch between like events besides like having to close out one? Like say you just like just now you had to delete yours. I've had to do that a couple of times because I can't like
Well, the reason I deleted mine was because I want to show you guys how to set up a sharing station, and it starts from the beginning, from scanning the sharing station event. I could have just kind of gone into that event and shown you from there, but I want people to capture the entire process of that. But as far as closing events, I mean, what seems to be the issue that you're experiencing?
It seems like sometimes when I'm trying to close it, then it hangs up and I gotta like delete the app. And I don't know if that's a phone issue or if it's just something else.
Yeah, well, I can shoot you some recommendations because I do think there's a couple of things happening there. Okay, I have tons of devices on right now. Give me 1 sec here. Kind of lost my train of thought there. Okay, here we go. One second here. My screen mirroring is not working. Okay, here we go. Got it. Okay, so this is what I'm going to recommend now. This is my sharing station. This is my iPhone right here. This is what I would recommend you do for both devices. What you're going to want to go first is go into your device settings. Once you're in your device settings, there's a couple of things that you want to look for. You can go down to general. When you hit general and you go over to your right side, you're going to see airdrop. Make sure airdrop is set to everyone. Okay, you see the little check mark, needs to be on everyone. The other important thing with sharing is your Bluetooth needs to be on and your Wi-Fi needs to be on. Okay. Step 3, below general, you're going to see a place that says display and brightness. You're going to click on display and brightness. To your right, you're going to see auto lock. You're going to click on auto lock and set auto lock to never. This basically prevents your iPad from going into screensaver mode, because if it disconnects, you're going to get a disconnection between your sharing kiosk. The other issue is with sharing stations that a lot of people don't know, and this typically happens when you come home, right? And you're going to be ready to close an event. If you're kind of like me in the sense that I click on Wi-Fi and I have all of these Wi-Fi connections at my house, right? The number one thing that messes you up in closing out your event is that sometimes your iPad automatically connects to the strongest Wi-Fi. So when you're closing out your event, if you're at 50%, it's happened to me in the past where all of a sudden I'm on that specific Wi-Fi, my event is closing, and halfway through, I don't see any movement, and I come back to my iPad and I'm no longer connected to that network. I'm connected to a different network. Well, what happened there is your device switched from a Wi-Fi connection to another, which caused a signal interruption. So what I would recommend, if you have a lot of different Wi-Fis, stick to one network, right? So if you're at home, the best way to do that is to click on the little exclamation mark and hit forget network on all of them but one. That way you know for sure that that is the network that your iPhone is going to stay on no matter what. It also happens when you have an iPad or an iPhone that toggles from Wi-Fi to cellular signal. That is the number one reason why some of your events will not close the way they should, because they're toggling from network to a different network, and that causes a signal interruption. I'm hoping that makes sense to a lot of you, but if you guys try that and follow these next steps, I'm sure you will have a higher success rate in closing out your events. Because initially, when I was a user, not on the TouchPIX team, this was something that was happening to me repeatedly. And then through trial and error, and because I've been using TouchPIX for such a long time now, I've been able to kind of diagnose what it was for me. So definitely take that advice, and I'm pretty positive that that's going to give you successful closings. So once you're done doing those steps, as far as airdrop, display always on, right? You're going to want to go into TouchPIX. And in this specific case, I need to scan an event. I actually took a picture of my QR code because I want to show you how to load up a specific sharing station event. So let me go back to that picture. And I'm going to hit activate event. Once I hit activate event, I want to activate a sharing station. So I'm going to click sharing station. It's going to want access to my camera because I deleted the app. And then I'm going to scan the one from my phone. You can always do that too when you're out when you're out doing events. You don't have to take your computer with you. Just take a picture of your QR code or the QR codes that you're going to want to switch over to if you have multiple events. So it's going to load up a sharing station. And the reason you can tell these apart is because on this specific one, as you can see, it says sharing station mode. So this means that this specific iPad is only a sharing station event. So I'm gonna let it load that sequence in the background. Then I'm gonna go ahead and make my connection and show you guys how it works. So it's loading up the resources. Again, this only does, this little delay because I deleted the app. And
if you're using ScanPix, you need to activate before you leave, right? Like while you got an internet connection.
So if you're using ScanPix, I recommend you. So that's a good question. If you're using ScanPix, you definitely don't want to activate a sharing station event. What you're going to want to do if you're using ScanPix is actually create a duplicate of that event that you activated on whatever device you're recording from. Duplicate that event and activate the duplicate event as a normal event. ScanPix more of an advanced feature, and you wanted to do more than what the sharing station allows you to do for this.
Right. So you activate the iPhone and the iPad.
Correct.
For ScanPix, right?
Correct.
All right. And would you turn off all the text messaging features and all that stuff on the iPhone?
No, you can leave it on. I mean, leave it on.
But
and
they won't get it though. Or are you saying that once you get Wi-Fi, it would then send it out?
Yeah, once you have Wi-Fi, everything that's in queue will send out.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. So okay, so now that everything is loaded, what you want is always start off with your sharing kiosk. From your sharing kiosk, you're going to see this gallery button. You're going to press the gallery button. You're going to see the top left-hand side. There's an S with the circle. Click on the S with the circle. Just remember this, your sharing kiosk is always the receiver, okay? So I'm going to hit activate receiver. That turns into a white R. Now from your capture device, meaning your recording device, you're going to click gallery. You're also going to tap the S, and you're going to make this your sending device. Activate sender. It should see the iPad. I'm going to go ahead and select it. It says success, and it's going to do its thing. That turns green, meaning there's an active connection. And in just a matter of seconds, you're going to start seeing some videos auto populate from one device to the other. And as soon as they make it over, this is your sharing kiosk. And as long as it stays on and it stays where it needs to be, it doesn't close, it doesn't go into screensaver mode, that connection should be 100% solid for the rest of the night. Also recommend that you keep it within 15 feet from your sending device. You don't want to keep it any further than that because then you're stressing that connection. Go ahead.
So what if your sending device is a GoPro? Does both of your devices have to be Apple products, or what if you're using like a GoPro for your 360 and you have an iPad for your sharing station?
So this is, I think there's a little miscommunication there. So if you're using a GoPro for your 360, you still need an Apple device to control that GoPro. So you need two Apple devices, just like you would use an iPhone and iPad. That GoPro still needs to be controlled by an iPhone or an iPad. There's no way your GoPro can just record and send its images over to the iPad. It doesn't work that way. You need two devices. Does that make sense?
It does, but it doesn't, because when I've been practicing with my GoPro, it automatically sends it to my iPad on my sharing station.
Okay, so what are you controlling your GoPro with? When you hit record, what do you press and record on?
On the sharing station, but that's where things got a little confusing. That's why I was asking.
Okay,
that.
so
Oh,
I see what you're doing. Your sharing station, you're using one device to share it. It'll work, but it's going to slow down your process because the next person cannot go on and record a session until whoever's done sharing or your videos are done processing. You're just using one device, right? You can get away with one device, but as you are going to experience, as you get busier and your crowds get bigger, it's going to become more of a nuisance than not. So you always want to have separate, your sharing station should just be your sharing station. That shouldn't be controlling your GoPro. You want an independent device controlling your GoPro.
Got it. Thank you.
No problem.
One moment, DJ,
Is
because I
there-
want to take advantage of the direct messages I'm getting of people wanting to buy the subscription. So I just want to address that really quickly.
Sure.
So for the yearly professional subscription, you do that in the App Store. So the price should already be reduced to the sale price in the App Store. If you have a current subscription, just shoot an email to support@touchpix.com and let them know that you were on the webinar today, and we'll make an exception if they don't get to it until tomorrow, so that you can still take advantage of the sale price. If you are interested in the white label subscription, you would do it through the touchpix.com, and then you would enter that that sale code that I put in the chat. And if you are having any issues with that, the same thing, just send an email to support@touchpix.com. Note that you were on the webinar and you were trying to purchase the yearly subscription and you ran into whatever issues you're encountering, and then we will make sure that we honor the sale price.
Super dope. Thank you, Tia. Yeah,
Hey,
so now, go ahead.
I have a question for you. So I have the the iPhone set up, and I have the sharing station, right? And I have a TV, and I mirror everything. How can I speed up my process so that when if there's done and the next person gets on, sometimes they gotta wait because it's sharing on the TV, and on the iPhone that I'm using, it's still saying sharing. Are they want to make a change to that where?
Yeah, I believe so. I think that's been a user request for quite some time.
Okay.
It is on our list. I just don't have an ETA on that. But it's coming. It's definitely coming. The process is getting faster as we're adding new devices. We're definitely going to address the older devices because we're not dropping support for the iPhone. We just want to make it easier for people to navigate through their sessions. But yeah, that's definitely on the list and it's coming.
DJ, is there anything else that could be hanging up this receiver and sender process? Because I have done all of these steps, and for some odd reason throughout the night, I am still having to hit on sync for some of the videos to come over.
Yeah, so the only other thing, if you're still having issues with that, you shouldn't be having to hit on sync a lot, but the last resort, right, is a couple of things. And you're probably going to laugh because I'm actually going to tell you to do something that I don't even have done on my end. But there's two things. Into your settings, general settings, make sure that both your devices are actually on the latest iOS. And I know mine are not. There's one that just dropped, right? That can be a huge issue. if your devices are mismatching iOSs and they're not communicating the way they should. Make sure they're on the latest by hitting general. What did I hit? General, software update, and it's going to tell you if you're on the latest or if you have to download a new one or not. Okay. The other thing where you want to make sure you want to do as a last case scenario, right, is you want to go over to general. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's going to be a what's called, it's not on general. Let me go back. I'm sorry. It's on the right side here. General. You see where it says transfer and reset? If you click transfer and reset, you want to hit reset. But instead of, once you hit reset, it's going to give you a big list of, okay, what do you want to reset? What you want to try is reset your network settings. Only the network settings, okay? That's going to kind of reset your current network connection, and it's going to start it from scratch again, meaning that whatever Wi-Fi passwords you had plugged in there, they're going to erase. You're going to have to plug in your the Wi-Fi passwords again, but that fixes a lot of the problems. So you may want to try that on your devices. And if you're still having issues, let us know, because we got to look into it further.
Okay. Now, do both of the devices have to be on the same Wi-Fi?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, they just have to have Wi-Fi on. That's the
Okay.
important part. As long as the Wi-Fi is on, that is the key.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
It's actually probably best if they're on separate Wi-Fis, if available.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, so let's.
Well, I got one. I'm setting up ScanPix right now as we speak for the first time. I don't want to bug you with a whole bunch of ScanPix, but I'm doing what you're doing in the video. But did you sync? I think I missed it. Did you still do the gallery thing? Like I set up both the sessions are the same using the same QR. Do I then got to do the gallery receiver and gallery sender thing?
You do, correct.
All right.
Correct. All right, so let me toggle over to the anticipated DSLR connection, okay? The way it would work, I wish I had, I guess, you don't need a 360 for me to show you that, but so I want to show you a couple things. Is if you look at my M50 here, is actually plugged in or screwed on through this specific screw here, which is going to resemble the screw that you have on your 360 arm, right? That's how you put it on. If you use a ring light, even better. If you use a ring, I don't have a ring light handy here, but if you're going to use a ring light, then your camera is going to mount inside a ring light. I typically wouldn't do it that way, but if you're going to use a ring light, it really depends on the spinner that you have. If you have a nice beefy spinner, then the ring light, it's not going to hurt it. But if you have a smaller spinner with the arm that's a little flimsy, you're going to want to try to use something that's a light and not as heavy. So obviously the camera is not going to have the flash when you're using it for 360. It's just going to be the camera. And you're asking as far as how do you connect it, right? Well, let me grab this adapter here. Give me 1 second here. Let me show you exactly how that is. Give me a sec. I'm going to black you guys out for a bit.
And while DJ's doing that, I put the two kind of recommended adapters in the chat, and I'll copy and paste it again for any people who join, any users who joined after I shared it. It's one recommended if you're using an iPhone as the control device, and then it's another adapter recommended if you're using an iPhone or one of the kind of older model iPads, and then it's another adapter recommended if you're using one of the newer model iPads, and I'll drop those links again.
Perfect, thank you, appreciate that. I'm almost ready for you guys. Just kind of want to be as clear as possible.
Just for clarity purposes, did you, so when the phone is on the spinner and, well, yeah, when the phone is on the spinner, did you say that Wi-Fi should be on and Bluetooth should stay on?
Yeah, Bluetooth should stay on, both of them. If you're gonna try to
Okay.
sync, if you're gonna try to sync them to your sharing station, yes.
Okay.
So I want to give you guys an example of how I would do a DSLR on 360. Let me clear this real quick. So I know we're kind of playing make-believe here because I don't have the 360, but again, mount the camera onto the arm, right? You can use the internal battery from the camera, it's no big deal, right? So on the actual arm, you're gonna want to get an iPhone adapter, which is something like this, right? This is an iPhone adapter I got from Amazon today, right? And this actually mounts on your arm via screw. I just got to get a screw that goes through the arm. So if this is the arm, your iPhone's going to sit right about there. Your camera's going to be mounted on top, and you're either going to do a wireless connection, which I'm not going to show today, but the wired connection goes from this cable here into that USB dongle, right? See if I can show that right in there, right? That's how you make the connection. So your iPhone will be on the arm and the camera is going to be on the arm. Your iPhone's just what's controlling the camera. So as soon as you hit slow-mo, you can click your start button and it'll start recording as normal. So this is kind of how the layout's going to work. Both these are going to be on the arm. Obviously the camera is going to be at the very top of the arm screwed in, and this is going to be this bracket hangs on the arm on the side. So do you guys have any questions on that? Or did I confuse you guys?
So does when you mentioned the connection to the phone through the adapter, are you connecting from the camera through the USB or the
Yes.
HDMI?
No, it's the USB only. This one doesn't have HDMI. This is just a USB 3.
Okay.
USB 3. And the reason why I recommend the USB versus the wireless is because it's a faster connection. So the file transfer rate is extremely fast. So with that being said, that's what we want to do with 360 videos. We want that video to be not only the highest quality video, but also we want it to be the fastest transfer rate. And by you having a phone there and your camera up there, you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Did that
Hi, I
make
have
sense?
a quick question.
Sure.
Quick question. Will you be able to show the exit sharing station? Because I'm having trouble with getting it to process. Like it'll spin as if it's processing, but it doesn't exit. And
Sure.
I followed the instructions to the T.
Okay. Are we done with the DSLR questions? Can I move on to that other question, or did you guys want to?
Okay. I just want to clear this out. So, okay, I'm trying to figure it because the live view from the camera, I have a Nikon D500 because I'm gonna use that for the 360 now because it's just sitting out there. The live view, when you're connecting the live view, especially when you're connecting to actually connect to it, external recorder, you do that through the HDMI. That's I'm a little bit confused there to connect to the iPhone.
No. So what camera are you using again?
I have a Nikon D500. It's one of the, I think that is actually recommended there.
Yeah, so this is what you do. This is, again, I'm going here inside the app. I'm going to go into the settings real quick, or camera. If you toggle onto DSLR, right, you need to make sure you enable the live view here.
Live view,
yeah. This is where you're going to be able to trigger your live view from the tethering system that we have in place. If it's compatible, if it's on our list, it will work. So
yeah, it's on the list. Yeah, it's on the list. I saw that. Yeah.
And just to prove it to you, because you saw how the photo booth works, if I were to disconnect this cable here, as you can see, there's 2 ports. Well, that bottom port is the HDMI port as well. The top port is the micro USB port. Yeah.
Okay.
So it will work. Give it a shot. Make sure you enable.
Okay, I'm gonna try tomorrow.
And you're good. But we just scratched the surface with the DSLR. I didn't share that session after shutter. That session after shutter is gonna do miracles for photographers that are on the move, right? You're gonna be able to start taking pictures from your camera, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, shutter, like a shutter release, shutter press.
Shutter release,
Okay.
exactly. And you're gonna be able to be on demand, be able to deliver that content, just by just by enabling that feature. So it's gonna be super
Okay.
cool. A lot of good
Sounds
stuff
good.
coming. A lot of good
Yeah,
stuff coming.
that's good. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, right on. Okay, so now I'm gonna toggle back over to the sharing screen here. And she indicated that she was having issues with her specific setup. So what I want to do is I'm gonna disable sharing station. I clicked on the button and hit disable sharing station. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to close the exit to sharing station. And see how mine spun and it closed real quick? So you're saying that yours just keeps on spinning?
It'll spin, then it'll stop, and it'll still be on the sharing station.
Yeah, that's a little odd. Can you tell me, by any chance, your build number of your app? This is how you find it. Let me see. Let me go into this phone here. So if you're still on that specific screen, when you go on the menu, right down here, you'll see that build number at the bottom. Mine says 4.43.10.
Okay.
It might be that you need to update or you're on an older build.
I think I have that build. Because I was
Well,
wondering what that was.
Yeah, so this one that I'm using on this phone is actually, I don't think it's the latest one. It's an old
Let
one.
me
There's
see.
actually a newer one. And the
I'll tell
newer
you
one,
which one I have in just a second.
the newer ones actually was on my app. I can tell you which one you should be on.
Okay, I'm on 4.43.9.
Yeah, so you need to be on the
And it
latest
has
one.
11.
This is where you need to be.
So, okay.
Four-
So when did that one
4.43.
come out? When did that one come out? Because I update like right before I have an
I
event.
think that actually came out the other day.
Yeah, it might
Okay.
have been a new release.
I just downloaded today and it said released yesterday or something. It said.
Okay.
Yes, so definitely be on the latest one. It's always important to be on the latest one and see if that works. Because you just saw it work on this one and how fast it closed it. So it might be just because you're on an older one, and we just want to make sure you're on the latest update. Any other questions?
Well, I just want to mention, like, when I was trying it last week, when I was having issues, I had to delete the app. I was on the latest update because I always update before I'm doing an event. Always. It's like I always do that, and it would not close out.
And has your Wi-Fi been pretty good? Or
Yes.
Okay, that's
And I
always
usually do a separate Wi-Fi for the sharing station. Just smooth, more easy to me
And
is having a separate Wi-Fi on it.
And as a support person, the only thing I could recommend if that happens is power cycle your device. What I mean by power cycle your device is shut it down and turn it back on, and see that usually sometimes fixes minor glitches.
I even did that.
Okay.
I promise
Okay.
you, I did. I even did that. Like I try to do all my technical troubleshooting, and that's how I learned how to do it. So I've
Okay.
tried everything that I could
Well-
possibly try on it.
Well, let us know how it works out with this latest update. And if it still does that, we'll open up a ticket and we'll look into it a little bit further. But
Cool. Thank you.
definitely. Any other questions out there? All right. It's been a pretty long night. I appreciate everybody on the call.
I have one quick question.
Sure. Go ahead.
Just a quick
Okay.
question. When you were putting the camera on, well, supposedly on the 360, there, what was the purpose of that again?
So that's our new integration with the 360 booth. And I want to see if I can show you guys something as far as, I probably don't have it on this computer. I may have to save it for the next webinar. So I just wanted to show you the new integration with DSLR. So obviously our app started with iPhones, and iPhones do a phenomenal job, but also require good lighting for it to produce great images. And then we were on the cusp of, we were kind of the first ones to adapt it to the GoPro for iOS. And, that also served a whole different purpose because there's people that, like the GoPro a little bit better because GoPro is it's a little forgiving for low light situations. So for a lot of people, it was easier to work with the GoPro because of the lighting situation. They didn't have to worry too much about having perfect lighting. So now DSLR adds another element on top of that, not only for our 360s, but for our photo booths. But for the 360 side, it opens up possibilities tremendously because people who are well versed with DSLR cameras know that they sell a variety of different lenses. It can be fisheye, it can be wide, it can be, totally different style lenses that can make your output look even more on point than where it needs to be. It just gives you countless options. I personally started 360 with a DSLR back in the day with a PC-based software, but it wasn't something that was automated. It was kind of something that I would piece together, and I love the DSLR output of it. I was never a fan of the GoPro, even though I do use the GoPro. I always wish that DSLR was part of the integration, and I'm just very happy that it's now part of it because you're going to find that it produces a different look. I don't know what type of work you're looking to expose to the general public, but you're going to clearly see a difference between iPhones, GoPros, and now DSLRs. So I think it's a phenomenal upgrade integration that's just pushing the app and pushing the quality out there to a more pro level like, experience.
Okay, thank you. I'm just getting started, so I really don't know. So that's where it was based on. Okay.
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Okay, makes sense.
Just a quick follow-up, that update must have fixed the bug because it went like seamless.
Okay. Sounds
Yes,
good.
yes. Thank you so much.
No, no problem. No,
No
look,
need for a ticket.
yeah, no problem. And look, I'm the first one that's going to admit I've been on the team for quite some time now, and do I think our software is perfect? No, but we rely on the users. You tell us, hey, what are you experiencing? What do you want better? What features is going to work for you? And we take that and run with it, right? And I think that's what makes our software unique. Uh, do I think there's room for improvement? Absolutely. Every software, needs room for improvement. But I think that the fact that we listen to everybody, not only on this call, but just our customer base, I think is the reason why it's gotten us where we're at now. So we're definitely thankful all the end users and all the compliments or suggestions that they make. But we're also very critical at times where if something's not working, we want to try to figure out what that is. So definitely very appreciative of that. Any other questions before we close out this session today? I know it's been a long day. I know we still have over 20 people on the call, but I value your time and for you being on the call. I'm hoping that this session was super helpful for you guys. I did not try to overcomplicate things, but I definitely want to highlight some of the stuff that we're working on. We often don't get a lot of time to do that, but these webinars are for you, and definitely let us know what you guys want to see moving forward. More iPad based, more iPhone based, more photo booth based, more 360 based. We can switch it up, different webinars. We will be doing some webinars in Spanish now. Those will be different days though. I think I'm looking at Sundays for those webinars. And again, I'm just very appreciative to be part of this team and very appreciative to be kind of learning with you guys, because no matter how long I've been on the team, I'm always learning something new and just want to be part of that innovative team that's breaking through the industry with something new and great for everybody to make money. Because at the end of the day, this whole thing is about making money and being successful, right? You guys have ventured on to TOUCHPIX on one way or another to excel your business, and we want to help you get there. So definitely don't hesitate, don't be shy. Let us know what's going on. Let us know how we can help you. Let us know what you need. and we'll do our best to come through for you. But we're definitely very.
Good question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just waiting for you to finish. So
I'm good.
In the earlier stage that you showed the photo booth with the DSLR, the photo booth, I'm looking at the new, is that the new home screen animation for the TOUCHPIX, or how do we get that? Because that looks cool.
So this one here was created for the Photo Booth Expo. This is in landscape mode, but I can definitely send you some of these files. I mean, they're branded with our brand, but if you guys want to rock them, then yeah. I mean, I don't mind sharing these files. It's our brand, and you know, it'll help you guys at least get familiar with how to load them and where they go. So I always believe that practice makes perfect, and don't mind sharing them. So my email should be in the chat. It's dj1@touchpix. Shoot me an email if you want these files, the animated overlays, the outro. That way you guys can practice with them, and I'll shoot them your way.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
No problem.
And then one last question. What do you think is the best lens to use with the DSLR with the photo booth?
That's a good question. I just dropped a lot of money today on some lenses, but
you know what, I I told you earlier that I'm a Nikon user, shooter. Then I moved to Sony about 3 years ago, and I have I sold my Nikon, but I kept my D500. Now TOUCHPIX just brought life into it now, so I'm gonna use it for the photo booth.
Yeah, so that's the thing. You know, I don't consider myself a pro level photographer, but I dabble here and there, and I've been with Canon for some time. And my the Sony that I have is an old Sony mirrorless. It's a A6000. I was kind of bummed out that it wasn't compatible with the 6000, but I think it might be. I think it might be compatible maybe with the 6500. I got to get my hands on one to figure it out. But I like the
I don't think so. The 6500 is I have 65. It's a little bit older. The 6000 one should be fine. I mean, no, the 67 something. I forgot. They move all the numbers are all over the place.
So I got the M50, right? This is what I have now. I ordered another M50 because I thought that the Canon refurbished price was pretty good. And at the show, we tried it with the lens, with the 10x18 lens, but it had an adapter. Okay. But, you know, I didn't like the adapter, so I ordered an 11x22.
Native lens is better. Yeah, native lens is better because you're going to get all the function.
Yeah, so I ordered an 11x22 lens also from Canon. They had a good refurbished price on that. Okay, so I think 11x22 is definitely going to be the sweet spot for me. It's kind of more of an all-around type of wide angle if I need to, and you know, I think it'll be good. So I wouldn't know till I get it, but that's what I got today, and if not, then I'll sell it. but just a heads up, we did try some pretty advanced cameras at the show. We tried an R6, right? We tried a Nikon Z9 that's compatible.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
Yeah, but it worked, man. There was somebody out there said, "Hey, I got this." Walked up with the Z9 and we connected it real quick, and it worked like a champ. So, very happy to see some of the higher end cameras.
Yeah, you know. I wish that. Do you guys have any plan to support Sony down the road, or
you know what? It's really. We have plans to support whatever we can make work with the
There's a lot of Sony users, so work on that.
I mean, I would love to also support Panasonic and some of the Leica stuff, but you know, it's just at this point I'm not the developer. The developer, I think, knows that he needs to hit a certain market, and also he's trying to be the first one to be compatible with as many cameras as possible. But I think he's doing a phenomenal job. The development team is doing a phenomenal job in that. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I just don't know how far ahead that would be.
Yeah, that would be great because you know, I mean, we're talking about autofocus here, so I think Sony is the king of the autofocus in terms of the mirrorless. So I believe they should work towards that. So to be really pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I appreciate the input. I'll share that with the developers and let's see what they can do. Let's see what magic they can do.
Just one quick comment on the phones. I mean, on the camera. So if we have an older
camera that wasn't on a list. It may not be that it doesn't work, it just may not have been tested yet.
Correct. I mean, it depends how old. I'm about to test some stuff here because I do some.
I've got an old Canon D90.
The
A
D90.
Nikon, excuse me, a Nikon D90.
So,
Like,
so this is so this is the thing. I think some of these cameras may be compatible for the photo booth side, but not for the slow motion side. So
the 120. Yeah.
For example, there's certain Canon cameras that that do most of the heavy lifting. So some of these Canon cameras are already able to record at 120 frames per second, just like your iPhone is. So,
exactly.
But you still may be able to use those.
Yeah, I just wanted for the photo booth side.
Yeah, for the photo booth sides, I think you might be okay with those. You might be okay.
Awesome, thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, did you didn't mention that it kind of a special for the photo booth from the Mobi booth that you're gonna send us?
Yeah, so right now we have the Mobi booth. We have the iPad versions. We're selling the iPad versions. I think we're down to our last probably, I don't know, maybe 6, I think. We may have a couple more after that. But we're selling the iPad version of what I have here for $1,300 plus shipping. I think shipping is going to be another $85 anywhere in the US. So it comes with, they're brand new, comes with the ring light, comes with the soft bag, and there's 2 bags basically. So 2 handheld bags, and one of them's on the lighter side. The other one's probably maybe about 20 pounds because of the base, but they're very portable. It has LED columns. The ring light's very bright, so I think for the price, I think they're priced right to sell. And again, this is just something that you would add to any of your TouchPIX add-ons. If you're already doing 360s, these are great for like drop-offs or, and they have a small footprint, so they don't take a lot of room. But the fact that you can do the remove your background stuff, that's pretty cool. So, and just to be clear, that remove your background, it takes a key from the remove your background website. So there is a little bit of an added fee if you're going to be using that a lot. But it works really good because it keys you out very, very precise.
Without a green screen?
Without a green screen, just how I showed you when I took that first shot with the flash and everything.
I think I think it's, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I think that's what it is. Let me show you that picture one more time real quick. Okay. So that was that picture there of the Vegas background, and it keyed me out.
Yeah,
it keyed me out really good. So there it is.
So that's the software doing the magic, right? Not that has nothing to do with the camera.
Well, the camera, the picture comes out really nice, obviously, because there's flash now involved, and it's able to key you out in a more precise level versus if it was just an iPad. You may see some pixelation if it was just the iPad booth. Exactly, but I think it's a combination of both.
Sounds good.
All right. You guys have any other questions?
I think I'm good. Just have to. Yeah.
DJ, every time you ask that, someone asks a question. So
I know. I'm gonna stop. I'm just gonna say I'm done. Nah, but you know what? I got a lot of love for everybody on this call because it's not easy to sit through a couple of hours and be like, what the hell did he say? So this video will be up on YouTube hopefully as early as tomorrow, maybe tomorrow evening. All of my videos are usually on YouTube for video playbacks, or if you guys want to scan through specific parts that I went through, feel free to do that. Again, webinars are free. They're every Wednesday. They're for you guys. So I expect people to jump on with questions and wanting to learn a few things that they haven't explored before. So again, take advantage of that because I know there's not many apps that offer free webinars every single Wednesday, and this is a great opportunity for you guys to learn more.
Okay, before you go, Mr.
Okay.
When you're setting up the DSLR, do you put the lens into manual mode or auto mode?
That's a good question. I don't know what I have it on right now. Right now is set to I have no idea what I have it on right now. I think it's on manual. It's on manual mode. I know it's on, I know the dial is on manual, but I can't see it. I'd have to remove it. Yeah, most of the time I leave it on manual. I can't really remember a time where I'll have it on autofocus, but I think it'll work with both. Doesn't really matter.
All right. Okay. Thank you. I'll do my test. I'll do the test.
Yeah, it'll work with both.
And I'll furnish back to the group, if I come out with something else.
Okay, sounds good, man.
Right,
Sounds
yeah.
good.
Good answer. Good answer.
Sounds good. Okay, so I thank you guys again. I think we're gonna end tonight. You guys have all been great. If you guys have any specific questions, drop us a email. And I'm hoping these are helpful and you guys are learning a lot. These are designed for you guys as end users. And if you guys don't get tired of me, join me next week. I'm sure Tia will be around. Tia will be around again.
All right. Good night, Tia. Good night.
Right.
Just run, everyone. Just run.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
All right. See you guys. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.